Hello, everybody. This is Aparajita. I am the executive director of an Indian nonprofit called Center for Catalyzing Change, and I also help coordinate the White Ribbon Alliance for Safe Motherhood, India. And thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this consultation. And today I'm going to talk about one of the additional indicators that we would like to include is the construct number 4.2. And this is about really including an indicator verifying that the National Health Plan includes right to respectful maternity care. In order to clarify the construct of the measurement, I would just like to kind of refer to a couple of critical components, operative words and phrases that embodies or defines the construct for measurement, and I would like to put forward 4 or 5 thoughts. My first question is, should we use the term National Health Plan, or should we talk of national level policies and programs? Sometimes in some countries, just saying National Health Plan may be a bit restrictive because, as we know, different countries have approached respectful maternity care differently. In Nepal, for example, they have incorporated it in legislation. India, the country that I come from, has included it in specific government-led national activities, and many other countries have incorporated in standards of care for providers. So that's the first idea that I would like to put on the table. Do we say National Health Plan, or do we talk about national level policies and programs? The other thing that I want to say is that respectful maternity care needs to be defined in order for it to be measured. So the first aspect that we need to push for is the definition and accepted definition of respectful maternity care. The third issue that I want to put on the table is, should we talk of respectful maternity care in general terms, or should we focus on specific rights and measures that is part of respectful maternity care charter? The charter has a listing of RMC rights, and it can be taken either as whole or in the separate parts to the government for adoption. For measurement, it might be easier if we put a percentage to the rights contained in the respectful maternity care charter. For example, we can talk about one measurement being the percentage of births which has birth companions. We can similarly measure privacy and confidentiality around informed consent, safety, comfort, freedom from harm, no detention, etc. The fourth aspect that I want to put on the table is that when we talk of including this as a measure, we need to look at the levels of where it would be measured and specify whether we are measuring it at the national level, state level, or facility level. Ideally, it should be at all levels. And then we also need to talk about the periodicity of the measurement. Are the measurements being done annually, monthly? What kind of periodicity? Like I had mentioned, many countries have included respectful maternity care and its measurement in various national policies, programs, curriculums, etc. And I want to give an example from India. The Lakshya initiative is Government of India's national level labor room quality improvement initiative. And in this particular initiative, we can see that respectful maternity care as a right, as a standard of quality of care has been included front and center as part of the goal and also objectives. And there is clear articulation of how respectful maternity care features in the goals, in the objectives, and also in as indicators. This is an example. Various indicators of respectful maternity care has been included, and this is just an example from the National Quality Assurance Standards, which is used to assess, not just assess, but also certify facilities, and it clearly specifies crucial respectful maternity care indicators like no verbal or physical abuse, the provision for privacy, not leaving the woman unattended, and about consent and information sharing. And this is just an example from the checklist which I have picked up, which not just talks about the main indicator, but what are the aspects that one needs to look at when you're measuring it, and how do you measure it, whether it's through observation or it's through interviews. And this is a great example of how indicators for RMC can be included, and in this instance, for example, in a national quality assurance standard. Like I had mentioned before, the state of measurement with respect to this construct is varied. There are examples from other countries. I had already referred how Nepal has incorporated this into Safe Motherhood and Reproductive Health Rights Act, which codifies basic human rights such as consent, privacy, confidentiality, which are all very, very key to delivering respectful care. In Malawi, these principles are included in the pre-service curricula for midwives, and in Nigeria, it has been incorporated in the standards of care for providers. And these are just some examples. These examples from countries where the White Women Alliance has been very, very actively advocating for the inclusion of RMC in various plans and policies and curriculums and standards of care. When we talk about measuring this construct, I think we have to acknowledge that we would face challenges in both adding it as a measure and actually measuring it. For the validity of the construct, I want to kind of, talk a bit about the experience that we had in India. About 2.5, 3 years back, we initiated a campaign called What Women Want. The idea behind the campaign was really to hear from women about what do they feel is the most crucial, most important, most aspirational element of care that they want when they go for maternity services. Women, of course, talked of various things. In India, we reached out to over 350,000 women, and respect for maternity care emerged as one of kind of the top level asks from women. Once we kind of looked at, what do women really mean by respectful maternity care, we had to do multiple studies across different geographies in India, where we tried to understand the prevalence of disrespect and abuse, the typology, the causal factors, and also provider attitudes and provider perceptions on why disrespect and abuse persist. We have a lot of very important findings, and of course, one big finding was that there is complete normalization of disrespect and abuse. But what I want to flag here today is that we realize that measuring these elements are not really very easy. It requires observation, because when we compare self-reports of women reporting DNA, and we compared it to what we had observed, we found that the self-reports are often very, very much lower than the observation. And this is again showing us how women have normalized disrespect and abuse. About the feasibility and data availability, I think we will agree that we have raw data, we have published data, which points to the importance of measuring this. We also know through our work here that this data can be obtained with reasonable and affordable efforts in a timely manner if it is incorporated, like in India, in the National Quality Assurance Checklist or in standards of practice. And we also know that it does not really overly increase the reporting burden, but what we know as this kind of reporting is urgently needed. Around harmonization, we feel that getting RMC as a measure in national policies and plans would strengthen and complement various existing efforts in different countries, be it around grievance redressal mechanisms, be it around Consumer Protection Acts, or acts against sexual harassment, discrimination, etc. So incorporating RMC as a basic right would be kind of a logical continuation and add-on to the idea that there are different laws that exist which are around rights-based approaches. In order to summarize this construct, I would like to state a couple of aspects, which is, I'm sure, known to all of you. that we have evidence from multiple parts of the world that disrespect and abuse is a big disincentive for utilizing nutritional care and receiving quality maternity care in both the public and private health systems. Some of the experiences which are not good that women undergo when they go for childbirth to facilities are often a deterrent for her to go back or even send her sisters and her neighbors to those facilities. So if we can get uh, rid of these kind of practices, it will not just help a facility provide quality maternity care, but it will also increase the percentage of women who are seeking care. The second point that I want to summarize it with is the fact that there is enough evidence that this indicator is associated with improved maternal health and survival. So there is all reason for us to push this. And we need to push it into national policies, not just to act accountability, but also put in clauses which would act as a deterrent. I want to end by talking about that measurement of respectful maternity care, measurement of the various rights which are envisioned within respectful maternity care will point us to areas for improvement. And with the data, we can advance strategic planning, we can advance policy, programming for maternal health at different levels of the system. Thank you, everybody, for listening in. Bye-bye.